Welcome to the most must-listen to show on the internet. Welcome to AEG. I'm your host, JB, and this week I have Gustavo with me.
Hey.
Hey. And I also have Marlon.
Dangerous man!
Oh my god, he brought it back. Do you like that I left that in? Do you like that I left that in all three times?
I was laughing my head off, dude, man.
I'm glad you didn't take it out.
No, yeah, I had to, man. That was perfect. But thank you guys for being here this week.
That was a shit show for Fox when it comes to fucking WWE, man. That was a shit show. I just want to put that out, man.
Oh, we're going into this. All right, we're going into this. Yeah, it was... oh, man. Yeah. I'm... as big of a diehard wrestling fan as I am, I'm kind of over it right now. I'm thinking of just kind of taking a break. Like I've been like even the last like week or so, like I watched the Fox premiere, but like everything this week, I straight up just read recaps online afterwards. Didn't watch a single minute of it because I'm just like, I can't, man.
I only got 3 letters: AEW.
I was gonna say AEW, man. I watched their premiere episode and then I caught the highlights from this past week's episode, and I mean their shit's good. It's really good, and they're taking some nice pot shots. No, it's not, but it's kind of that's good because the product that WWE is putting out is not working anymore. It's just
WWE hasn't had a true competitor since they bought out Warner, since they bought out WCW and ECW.
Right.
You know?
And that was 18
that was like
years ago.
2001.
Yeah, like 18 years ago.
Please.
Yeah. So
someone give them a run for their money.
Well,
Vince, I don't want you to die, but I want you to just fall back and just don't touch the product. Just leave it, dude. Like your fingerprints are over everything, and you ruin everything. Your sensibility isn't the same anymore. Just stop, Vince, please.
Yes, absolutely agreed. But that was your AEG wrestling minute. But this week we are going to talk about some games because I finished 3 games in the past like 2 weeks, pretty much since the last time we recorded, which is pretty crazy to think about. And then
if only Vince said, let's make Kofi look strong.
Oh, here we go. All right, we're just going right back into it.
I'm kidding.
He's just mad about it, man.
No, dude, I was really annoyed too. Like, I understand. Like,
it's a part-time Brock.
Right.
Really? To part-time Brock?
Well, that's the thing.
And then they have all these losers: Cain Velasquez, Tyson Fury.
Dude, Cain Velasquez looks like a deflated balloon. Talent.
Oh man, I just feel like it's a slap in the face to like the boys and girls in the back who bust their ass, who are there every single week, and you got these newcomers who are just a brand name, and I'm like, what are you doing, Vince? Man, you haven't changed. All you think about is pomp and circumstance, dude.
That's
like you're
literally like it's like you took the thoughts of my brain about wrestling and are fucking just saying them right now. Like you took them out of my head and are just verbalizing.
I used to be a huge wrestling fan when I was younger. I love wrestling. I mean, I don't watch it as much anymore, so I'm not like in the know of what's really going on, but I still pay attention. I still read my articles. I still try to keep up, and I'm just like, man, what the fuck, Vince? Cain Velasquez, who the hell is this guy? Tyson Fury, who nobody cares about these people.
Yeah, because they're not actually wrestlers.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, I'll give it up to Ronda. Ronda busts her ass, and she really worked hard at it. And I'm not saying that these guys won't do it, but it's so deflating to see guys like Kofi or even what's this blonde guy who had a beef with Goldberg recently, Dolph
Ziggler, yeah.
Yeah, like they bust their ass
in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, they do the house shows. They're on the road every week, and they're just trying to get that top belt, that top spot, and then some nobody, no offense to Cain Velasquez and Tyson Fury, some nobody who hasn't put in the time, hasn't put the work in, boom, elevated right to the top.
I mean, that's the thing, like these guys, like those 2 guys, one of them's a boxer and one of them is a former UFC fighter. Like that, those are not the same thing as a professional wrestler. Like, leave your fucking sport to its sport. Like, don't cross over.
Like Brock is one of the few who successfully crossed over, but he's like the exception. He isn't.
He is very much the exception to the rule, and I think they're trying to capture that lightning in a bottle again, or with more people, and it's just not. It's not working at all.
And let me ask you, because I know that you watch it religiously. Are those like those? What I'm gonna call them, these outsiders, right? Are they a draw? Like, do they sell or whatever?
In terms of the mainstream crowd, yes, they sell. They make Vince and everybody a lot of fucking money, and that's why they keep doing it. That's the only reason. They cater to the mainstream crowd, and that's ultimately who right now Vince wants to, bring eyes on from, the hardcore fans like me that have been watching it for 20 years. Like they know we're going to watch it regardless of how good or bad it is. And that's the problem. So, but yeah.
All right, well that does
wrestling
WWE minute, yeah.
Yeah. I might have to put a timestamp for the people that don't want to listen to this, but but yeah, so
35 minutes later on.
Yeah, 35 minutes later. So I finished 3 video games in the course of like almost 2 weeks.
That is an accomplishment.
I was gonna say I feel like I'm the only one that's pumping out these fucking video games lately. Like I know, like Goose has been balls deep in Gears, and then Marlon's still been playing. You've been playing what, Monster Hunter, and then you did kind of dabble into Destiny.
Yes,
And Dalton did finish Control. He did say that, so good for him.
Oh, that's
on that.
right. Yeah, he did say that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely good for him for finishing that, because I know he's been in a very large
It's what prompted me to
rut.
start it. Now that I think about it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think all of us. I mean, even me to an extent have been in a really large rut. In terms of not wanting to just dig into games lately. I mean, it's not that the games are bad, but I just think, like, this is going to sound weird, but I know me personally, this is how I feel. Like, as I'm getting older, I don't find myself as dedicated to stuff to put up with the bullshit of certain things, in games now. I don't want to, spend 40 and 50 hours on one game. I like the more bite-sized, smaller, streamlined experiences, which I'll get to here in a minute because I started and played through Concrete Genie in, I think, like two or 3 sittings. So, I mean, it was not a very long game. But like the things like Borderlands.
Actually,
yeah, go ahead, Marlon. What's up?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll let you finish, and then I'll say my bit.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, like Borderlands was a great game. It was literally, it's a game that should have probably come out 5 years ago. I think if it would have came out 5 years ago, it would have done just bonkers. I mean, it probably still did sell bonkers numbers. I think they said it's the fastest selling game in 2K's history, and that includes a company that owns Grand Theft Auto. In terms of like the first weekend sales, like it just blew through sales. But
yeah,
I mean, and it was a good game, but what was driving me through to play it and actually finish it was more the fact that I had played all the previous games. I kind of wanted to see where they're going to take this story, and they ended up taking it some interesting places. But I know Marlon and I talked about this before we were going to record last week, that the writing for Borderlands 3 is just fucking atrocious. It is Go ahead.
It's not just atrocious. Here's my issue. I have no issue with the way the Borderlands 1 and 2 did the writing, because it was this, campy, millennial kind of crap that people like, like the stupid jokes and stuff like that, like teenager stuff. I get that. But this one was, you could tell that the writers were not the same. You could tell that the people that were writing this game were let's take all the memes from 2017 to 2019, let's take all the millennial bullshit that they like, and let's cram it into this fucking game. And the writing just felt forced. The jokes, maybe a few of them landed, but
yeah, a couple. I was gonna say, for me, a couple of them landed.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's just bad. It was just bad. It cringy. That's a great word for it. It was very hard to listen to, and a lot of it. I know, like, I was listening to another podcast, real quick, Marlon. I'll let you make your point. Like, I was listening to another podcast.
Was it Giant Bomb?
It was Giant Bomb, and it wasn't. I mean, yeah, he did, and a lot of his honest sentiments, I totally agreed with. But the actual core gameplay was what kind of kept me going, on top of kind of wanted to seeing where the story went. But a lot of his points are 100% valid, and I agree with a lot of them. But the one I was going to make was, I can't remember who it was on the Giant Bombcast, but they said that they played the entire game on mute. And I was like, I can't say that I blame
It
you.
was big, tall, he like ugly Ben Pack.
Yeah, Ben
Go
Pack.
ahead.
Yep, it was Ben
Yeah,
Pack.
He was ugly as fuck.
dude, man. Like, dude, you. This is the thing. When Jeff told me like, it's a cringe a few times, I'm like, okay, you know what? My girlfriend was shedding on this like since day one. Like, she was shedding all over this thing because she is the same wavelength as Gustavo. She is this, uh, I wouldn't say conservative, but she's mainly like she leans towards the right of things, and she just likes being left alone. She likes her video games and her TV shows and stuff like that not be filled with bunch of political dribble and meandering liberal bullshit. She likes her stuff to be just that she's been enjoying for the past 20 plus years. She's like that. So when this game came out, she's like, Marlon, you don't understand. They fucked up Zero's way of talking. They fucked up the way that almost all these characters
Well,
interact with each other.
they messed with Zero's way of talking in Tales from the Borderlands a little bit.
And she just like starts going off and off and on, and like I can't deal with this writing. She was telling me like she's complaining the entire time. I don't believe her because I'm thinking, man, I get where she's coming from. She just has a different way of thinking about things. I'm not gonna put it on her fault for that. I'm just saying like half of the times I feel like when people tell me like stuff, 50% of the time I just say okay, maybe they're saying some truth behind it, and 50% of the time I'm just thinking okay, they may be overreacting, they're just ranting, they're venting, they're just trying to get steam off. Dude, I play this game. First 30 seconds, Claptrap opens his mouth. I wanted to shoot that motherfucker, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I wanted to throw my controller like I was so pissed off. So as the game keeps progressing, I'm getting more infuriated because not only was she right about the writing in some of the areas, it wasn't just cringeworthy. It was like, why?
it was full-fledged annoying.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
wasn't like just like, oh, that's really like that's really in poor taste, or oh,
like
that's really terrible. It's like, okay,
or
just shut up, like just stop fucking, like specifically.
like there was an area where Claptrap at the beginning of the game, and he says, "Come with me, your gray overlord." I'm like, oh.
Honestly, I didn't even get that annoyed with Claptrap. Like Claptrap, honestly, weirdly enough, was one of the not as egregious parts for me. It was like characters like Vaughn, who I loved in Tales from the Borderlands, and then they turned him into this like swole boy, like stupid bullshit. And just fucking annoying.
Here's the thing for me, and I don't want to shut on this because we're gonna move forward, but this is the thing for me. So about a couple of days ago, which I was playing with Anna, Borderlands, because she likes, like you said, she likes the core video game of the game, the whole looting mechanic and just the gameplay. It's fun, and I'm okay with that. It's just the writing that just falls on me, and it pisses me off. But it was this mission that we were supposed to basically finally open up the vault and getting the first vault in the game when Maya gets killed. And
Spoilers.
Sorry. I appreciate it. I apologize on that.
That's right. He really meant what he just said. He appreciates a good spoiler.
No, I apologize for that. I didn't mean to say.
Yeah, spoil all.
What I'm saying is that there was a moment there. It's like maybe. Here's the thing for me, like one of the characters. Well, I don't even call her like a deep character, like a key character in the game. I'm just going like, okay, like who are you? Like you never seen you before, and like okay, whatever. But the way that the storyline for her starts out with Ava is like the most retarded. Like, how can I say this? The reason why she died was because the stupid apprentice couldn't keep her mouth shut, and it's like, I want to be a freaking bull hunter. I want to be big and strong like you. Please, can you go back to the ship so we can get out of here and not get into trouble? No, I can deal with him. Pa pa pa. She gets killed. Like I'm like, okay, why? Like you have been annoying me the entire freaking mission, and your redemption arc is gonna be disgusting. for me because I don't care about you. And this is what happened a lot of times in the game. There was all of this writing that makes it seem like these characters were meant to be, appreciated, but it just didn't feel like that. It just felt flat, like there was no connection for the characters that I had.
Well,
so whatever happens to them, I don't really care. So it's like,
right, and that was
I haven't
that
met
was
a single
the thing.
character in that game so far right now.
Yeah, like
Sorry,
I didn't actually no, you're fine. I didn't start getting invested in the story till like towards the end, and it wasn't even that I was invested in the characters, like what they were saying. It was like what ended up like transpired, because they transform a lot of characters in this game. And I mean there were times where I'm like, oh, like that's a cool thing. I wish they would flesh that out more and do more with it, but they just don't. And it's honestly like I was saying, kind of at the start of talking about this, like the gameplay and the skill tree and leveling up my character and getting stronger and finding these cool abilities and just getting weird, like unique legendary guns and stuff like that. That is ultimately why I finished that game. I think like I understand. Like, and I'll kind of end it with Borderlands by saying this. Like, I understand.
No, wait, I've got some stuff to say too about it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He
Well,
wants to talk.
I'll say my last piece on it, and then we'll kind of go from there. Like, I understand where Gearbox was coming from. They wanted to play it safe. They wanted to make a game that they knew that would appease all of the fans, but also, give a new entry but not move the needle too much forward and try new things. That's fine, but it has been literally 7 years since the last numbered Borderlands game, and that really sucks because this game is a great representation of what Borderlands was, but not what it could be in the future. So that's kind of what I'll say. But Goose, you said you had some stuff to say. Sorry.
It's actually more questions to you guys.
Oh yeah, sure. No, I'll answer all the questions you want me to. Go for it.
So the first thing is, I know there was a little bit of a controversy with Troy Baker.
Yeah.
And it was like, was it anything that was noticeable in the game?
He was supposed to play a character that he played in Tales of the Borderlands. He played Reese, who has a fairly major role in Borderlands 3. And there was some back and forth between Gearbox and Troy Baker on there, and it is what it is. But I mean, it wasn't like, they got a pretty decent sound alike, which is kind of terrible in its own right. Like, I would have rather had it not sound like Troy Baker at all, but they kind of tried to do a Troy Baker-esque voice and it not be Troy Baker.
Yeah, it was like, it's not noticeable the first time you play it because you're thinking, okay, you're just getting invested into whatever's happening in the game, but not at a specific moment. But if you put it like next to each other, you're like, no, thank you. That's what happened to me. I was okay with Reese because, I was like, like Jeff said, it sounded like Troy Baker, sort of, maybe alike. So if you're just playing the game without not, having his real voice of Troy Baker's in comparison, you can sort of maybe, get, sort of like fool yourself into thinking, okay, it's Troy Baker. But the minute you go back and play some of the original stuff from the reason, you're like,
yeah,
no,
like if you would go like back and play Tales from the Borderlands, you'd be able to be like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then there was another thing that I wanted to talk about in relation to the end game. So I'll be honest, I was thinking of getting this. Like, no, I'm not gonna get it. I own 1 and 2, and I haven't even touched them, so I'm not gonna spend money on them. On 3, but there was a video, I think, from Mike Mahardy over at GameSpot. Yes, GameSpot.
Yeah. I think you
and he was
posted
talking
in
about
the
how
Discord,
the
didn't you?
I think I did. Yeah, I really. So he sort of goes over how, in relation to like how modern games as a service titles like Destiny and Warframe, he's like, in relation to those games, Borderlands 3 doesn't really do anything revolutionary. It just builds upon what it did with the prior Borderlands games, but he says that it does do something with its end game that the other games don't do, and that's respect the player's time, and how there's like different ways that allows you to jump right back in without having to do the minutia that you'd have to do in a Destiny 2 or a Warframe or any other of those games.
I
And I was wondering maybe if you could speak to that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because I wanted to kind of see, like, after seeing that video, like, I wanted to be like, I didn't watch the video, but I saw, like, that they had a good take on how endgame works. I'm like, all right, well, once I finish the campaign and see what happens, I'll jump into it and see what it's like. And I played through, I did some of the side quests. They have, once you beat the game, you have this like crystal. It's called like a mayhem crystal, and it kind of varies how the gameplay works. It makes the enemies more difficult, but it also lets you gain more experience, and it can tweak certain aspects of the gameplay on top of every side quest that you pick up or didn't pick up during the main quest line automatically levels to your level as you progress. So you don't have to keep like, oh, I have to do all these bullshit side quests and get nothing for them, but I need to do them to get the trophy, blah, 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 blah. Like, you can just work your way through the side quests, at your leisure with mayhem mode turned on or off, and then, you gain what experience you should be gaining at the level like you're at. Like, I was 37 when I finished the campaign, and I got to 40, but I felt like I was, doing end game, like, stuff that's should be as difficult as like the final areas of the game. So stuff like that.
And those side quests that you can play, in mayhem mode, for example, are those like the ones that are left over, or can you
like
play
anything
any one of them?
anything you didn't finish in your first playthrough, you can go back and pick up at that point and play through.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool, because what it does is, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
No, I just want to say that's kind of cool, because what it does is, like, for example, like in other games, like, now, again, just to reference Destiny, like once you do like the campaign or something and you reach, that light level, like, that's a waste. That campaign is a waste. Like, there's really no reason whatsoever at all to go back to these missions or these strikes or whatever.
Yeah, and that's another thing. You're not
going to get anything good out of it.
Right, and that's another thing you can do is you can start what's called True Vault Hunter mode, and you can basically start the full campaign over. Like, basically it wipes all of your progress, but you start at the level that you ended the game with. So, like, let's say I was like
once I did New Game Plus.
It's basically New Game Plus, yeah. But you can, but then everything
and
is
you get better
you.
gear out of it.
And you'll
always be getting
it'll drop gear that is to your level, as opposed to like, because there are certain bosses that have a chance of dropping legendary weapons throughout the campaign, and with the True Vault Hunter mode, you can go back and basically, try to get those to drop by continually trying to fight the same bosses and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely
though, and the thing for me though, and I don't want to tell you about it, but that's the thing that for me, I love that about Borderlands 3, about respecting the player when it comes to loot and timing. The other issue that I have is the constant buffing and nerfing, mainly nerfing by this point. I get it. I understand that, Gearbox has to do this because, people will always come up with some crazy build where they're just basically mowing through bosses like they're just nothing there. I get that. It's just that it's disheartening for me because I was going for a build. I was thinking, oh man, this is really cool. I go back and play it, and they're like, oh yeah, those skills that you have, they're not worth it anymore. They're being nerfed to the ground, and they're basically just, they're just not worth it. And for me, that's sort of maybe the thing that just pisses me off the most about it, because like Jeff says, I go in there and I get some really cool weapons, some really cool armor and stuff like that, and skins and stuff like that, and my skills are basically done redundant because the fucking nerf to the ground. I don't mind nerfing. I mind when it's nerfed to the point where it's no longer not even viable. And
right.
And they've been doing that a lot when it comes to Flak, which is the character that I play with.
And that's the character that I play too, is actually his Flak. They definitely changed his builds the most. Like, you can go online and find like like solid builds that make like basically every one of the Vault Hunters into a certified badass, but Flax are getting nerfed the most, and it's unfortunate.
Fucking right. So it's like for me, it's like so
Yeah, I mean,
it is what it is.
Overall, I really
Overall.
like. I did like the game. Like, don't get my thoughts and stuff with this taken poorly. Like, I really enjoyed the game. I mean, to finish it, I put almost 30 hours into it. Like, it was a solid game. I just it would have been a way better game like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So. But before that, I actually finished Astral Chain as well for the Nintendo Switch, the Platinum game that they got, that I know Goose specifically was so excited for.
I haven't touched it.
I know,
He has not-
which is
he
just
has not
fucking.
touched it.
I know.
Actually, that's not true. I made my character. I made a female character. I think I named her Briseis. She's like, she looks sort of emo. She's got
I mean, a
like
lot of the characters
violet.
look emo in that game.
Yeah, she's got like violet lipstick, and she's like really pale white, and she's got like a ponytail. I think she's cool, but I haven't really played much.
Yeah, I finished it. Again, I really liked that game, but for me, I wish, like, this is going to be really weird, but I wish it was a streamlined experience. There was a lot of side content that most of it was kind of irrelevant other than fleshing out the world, but I don't, like, I'm trying to think of my thoughts, like, because it's been a couple weeks since I finished this, but like, it's a great game. Like, the combat is phenomenal and it's super fun, and the environments, it's very pretty, docked and undocked. But I feel like like most of other Platinum's games, it wasn't like a semi-open world like this one was, and I think for me personally, I would have preferred it as more of a linear experience. Like, you don't have to do any of the side content, and a lot of it I did not do, especially like the latter half of the game. Like, the first half I kind of like dabbled here and there just to kind of see what some of the side quests were about, but then when I got towards the bigger story beats, about halfway to 3/4 of the way through the game, I just mad dash, like, did nothing but play story content, like, completely bypassed some sections of the game to do the main story quest. And you can go back, and there are end game cases. Like, each chapter has cases in it, like a certain set of main cases and side cases, and like, you can go back to the previous chapters and play through all the cases that you missed after you finish the game, and then there are also like 6 or 7 extra cases that are strictly combat focused with the legions and your like companion attacking drones basically. But I mean, I liked the game a lot. I don't know. It wasn't as memorable as I was hoping it would be, personally.
How does the combat relate to other games
it's
from Platinum? Let's say a Bayonetta, for example.
It definitely reminds me a lot of the Bayonetta combat, which is similar to like a Devil May Cry style. It is there is a lot of that type of.
I read that it was slower pace. Actually,
It is slower. It's definitely not as fast as a Bayonetta or a Devil May Cry. They do have weird like difficulty things you can do. They have like a difficulty mode which literally makes the combat automatic. Like, you basically just have to keep hitting the attack button and it will do all of the work for you. It will dodge for you. It will do everything for you. Like, I mean, I like easy stuff. Like, I play on easy mode. We've had the discussion how many times, but even that was like, okay, like, this is basically like playing the game for me. Like, I want a bit of a challenge, not, no challenge whatsoever. So, I mean, it's the combat is definitely where that game shines. Absolutely. Like, that is what that game is all about, is showing off a cool and unique combat system.
Were you at any point like forced to, because I've seen like some gameplay. I don't know like what difficulties they were playing at, but there was this one video on YouTube that I saw that I think the director was playing was playing it himself, and he was playing against this boss, and he would like switch between his legions, and then he would like
Yep.
strategically switch while one of them was attacking, so he can have two on the field and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's definitely ways that you once you get, because you get pretty much in the first like 5 or 6 chapters of the game, you get one legion per chapter, and then that chapter is kind of focused around like using that, because each legion has their own abilities. Like there's a sword one that can cut through specific material, and there's an arrow one that can hit targets farther away, but also like hit things that unlock doors, like shoot an arrow at this like basically
Actually,
key to unlock a door and stuff like that.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. My question is this: how's the onboarding? Like, first of all, how quickly do you get your legions? Like you said, you get them every chapter.
That game took me about 15 hours to finish the entire campaign, and that was, like I said, pretty much mainlining the story content. Like each
That's kinda
chapter, yeah, it's definitely meaty. Like each chapter, I would say is an hour to an hour and a half, and so you get the Legion about, I would say, roughly halfway through the chapter, because the rest of the chapter is like letting you use that specific ability to know when to like give you those context clues to allow you to use like that Legion's abilities, in that level and then in the future.
You said that it isn't memorable, so maybe you've already answered this question. But do you see a sequel? Happening?
There was enough of a there's enough of intrigue. Like, I mean, you basically you take out the big baddie. I mean, that's pretty obvious, like in these type of games, that's what's gonna happen. But they leave enough of they leave the door open enough to show you, like, yeah, I could see them doing more with this franchise, especially because I mean it did sell really well, so I could see that being something that
It sold better than Control. That's for sure.
right, right. So
That's
I could
for
see
sure,
them.
man.
I could definitely see them pushing it forward. Maybe with Nintendo's money. I would like to see the game come to a. I would like to see it like on a PS4 or like, I know it won't.
The Nintendo fans are gonna be upset with you, dude. You
Yeah.
just insulted the
I mean,
biggest
but
insult. They hate it.
but that is literally a me being more comfortable with the controller kind of thing. Like, it was playing like an action game like that, like a true blue action game on a Switch for me was really strange. Where like playing like Mario and Zelda and stuff like that, like I like, those are comfortable for me on those kind of systems, but like playing like something where I have to be twitchy and very reactive to what I'm seeing and what's happening, like it was kind of difficult for me in some aspects. So, but I mean,
Just on a side tangent, I wish that Nintendo would allow you to switch the inputs like at a UI level, man. Because I'm so not used to like the way they have their
the
buttons set up, like
AB,
hey, man, that just throws me off. And considering that I rarely play it, when I do, it's just like
I'm sorry to hear that. Oh my god, man.
but yeah, I mean,
but you did enjoy your time with it.
Yes, I absolutely. I mean, obviously, I finished it. Like, I definitely liked what I played, and if they do a sequel, I definitely will play a sequel to that game. Like, no doubt about it.
Is it a buy? Is it a rent? Is it a wait?
I would wait. I mean, it's tough to say because Nintendo stuff never drops in price. It might just because it's technically third party. Technically,
it's second party.
You're right. It's technically second party. Like, maybe I could see it being one of those titles that maybe for Black Friday drops to $45 or $50. And if that's the case, I'd say definitely buy it. Like, I don't know if like my friend and I that we figured out the game sharing on the Switch, like we went halfway on it, so I definitely got my money's worth on like another game that I'm currently playing literally as we speak. Well, not as we speak, but I was playing right before we started the podcast. Cough, Ghost Recon, cough.
Cough.
But yeah, no, I definitely recommend it. If you have a Switch and you're looking for something a little different than the standard Nintendo fare, definitely I would say give it a pickup. What the fuck? You getting broken into? Like popos on your tail there, Goose?
Probably it's probably ICE chasing some of these immigrants.
It probably
Oh,
was, honestly. But
you never know, man. New York right now is just like absolutely insane.
it's a cluster, I'm sure. Um, but that brings me to my last game that I just finished. Was it yesterday? Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. When we're recording this, we record on Sundays, so whatever, doesn't matter. That's neither here nor there. But I played through and finished Concrete Genie. I was intrigued when this game first was announced. What was it? Probably was it E3 that this game was announced, or before E3?
I forget, to be honest.
It was earlier this year. I'm pretty sure it was announced. I think no, it was. I'm pretty sure it was in one of those state of plays, wasn't it? Wasn't it in the first one? I think, maybe.
Don't quote me on that. I wouldn't be able to tell.
I don't know. Either way,
I don't know.
when the game first was announced, I was definitely interested in it. It looked like something unique. I know, Goose, you hit the nail on the damn head. You said in the Discord, it reminded me a lot of those PS3 games that were kind of just like weird artsy fartsy titles. Yes, folklore. What else did you? There were other ones that you said.
I said folklore, Echochrome, Shatter,
yeah.
Rain. Yep. What else? There's a whole PS3 back in the day. Like, I don't want to go on a tangent, but like back in the day, PS3 had like this amazing library, and as much as I hate the word diversity was its strength. Like, it had the AAA blockbusters, both single player and narrative, but it also had like these smallish, like even Puppeteer. Remember Puppeteer on PS3?
Puppeteer, yes.
Yeah, that's another one. Like, and I think like PS4 lacks that. So when I saw Concrete Genie, and you did say that you had played it, I'm not gonna lie, I had forgotten that you said you had it.
Yeah,
but
well, that was the thing.
We were
yeah, it was one of those things. Like, I was like, man, I really want to try that. It looks really interesting and something a little different than the standard, stuff that I've been playing. And it did look very, very interesting and different. And then my buddy and I, he was like, man, like Yooka-Laylee, the new Yooka-Laylee and Concrete Genie come out the same day. He's like, I don't know which one I would prefer getting. He's like, I only have enough money to buy one of them. So I was like, well, I would prefer playing through Concrete Genie. I think it would be interesting. And so he picked it up. And so I was like, well, shit, I'll give it a shot. So I kind of like, it was like a random night. I was like, Thursday night, I was like, I'm going to give this a shot and try and start it. And I played about a half hour and I was like, okay, this is cool. But then like yesterday, I sat down and I was like, all right, I'm going to really try to dig into this. And it just grabbed me. The atmosphere, the story, like the message that it sends, the art style, the music, just gushing with just uniqueness and just atmosphere and just tangible stuff it's so simple, and little things that it does, it just makes you feel good. It's such a great, like, after playing like a hardcore action game like Astro Chain and then a hardcore shooter like Borderlands, that I put 15 and then 30 hours into just these big meaty experiences. Like, it was so nice to have this small 4-hour just kind of washing away all the crap, like, and just a game that I just like. It is on my list. It's almost top 5 for game of the year for me personally. I really loved this game, and I know you guys. I know in the Discord you said you might have had stuff that you wanted to ask me about it specifically. Like,
yeah, for sure. Like, I think Colin Mori already spoke about it, and I think that the folks over at Giant Bomb spoke about it as well.
Yeah.
So I just looked it up online, and it's made by Pixelopolis. Who made Entwined, which was a free game that debuted. I think it was during either the first PlayStation. What is it called? PlayStation Experience, the thing that they do at the end of the year every year.
Yeah, PSX. Yep.
PSX. There it is. PSX.
Experience Play.
I remember. I think it was. I don't remember who announced it, but I don't remember Concrete Genie, but I do remember Entwined. That it was one of these games. Oh, and it's on sale right now.
Actually,
so
I'm pretty sure Concrete Genie, now that I think about it, was announced at one of the Game Awards.
Ah, okay.
I'm pretty sure it was
Um,
like last year's Game Awards or something like that.
It was announced. It was announced on Pirates Play back in 2017, and then it was slowly, put up a couple of announcements here and there
Okay.
because it kept getting delayed and delayed.
Oh, did you look it
yeah,
It
up?
was supposed to come out.
they've been working on it for the past 5 years since one came out in 2014.
Gotcha.
That I saw at a Kind of Funny stream because Kind of Funny and led by trader Greg Miller, they had the developers on their
Swear to God,
channel.
this guy.
This guy.
They had the
This
developers on their channel
motherfucker.
talking about Country Genie, and they were talking about how like it had been in development for like 5 years. But yeah, my questions are like, what's the core gameplay loop? Like, it looks cool. I know that it supports
Okay.
PlayStation VR because I saw it on the cover, but like, what's the gameplay loop?
So, it's you start out the game. You're sitting there at like this character named Ash, and you have a sketchbook, and these bullies basically like jump you and like tear apart the sketchbook. So all of your pages get like blown into the wind and like fly everywhere, and so they like lock you on this tram and send you to this lighthouse. So you go to this lighthouse, and basically one of the main drawings that you start the game with, like it teaches you how to paint through like doing your sketchbook before the bullies jump you. And you create this character named Luna. And basically when you go to the lighthouse, you realize that all of this darkness is starting to kind of like take over this town. And this town was like very prosperous, and there was apparently like an oil spill, and then like everybody started losing their jobs in this like coastal like shanty town almost, kind of just like basically was taken over by this darkness from everybody's like negative energy and so on and so forth. So you go to this lighthouse, and you basically Luna comes to life. Like I won't go like super into detail because I don't want to spoil too much of it. Basically Luna comes to life, and that she teaches you that you can paint, basically use your this magic paintbrush to basically paint the town to the point where everything comes back, like the darkness goes away and everything comes back to life, basically. So the core gameplay is you painting these murals, and you have these little genies that you create that you can add features to, and each of them have their own abilities. There's like a fire one, an electric one, a wind one, and you create these genies, and you basically use their abilities in painting them to solve the puzzles and light up all the little lights by painting on all of the walls where the lights are at. And there's like different areas of the game you move through. There's more to it. There's a lot more like I don't want to spoil because that's kind of the crux of the game. Like there's more to do with the bullies. There's a lot like actual backstories to all of the bullies, and it's super weird, and it's really cool how you find out about them. It's actually kind of dark. But the core gameplay is you painting. They have two options. You can use the movement of the PlayStation controller, like the motion sensor of that, to paint, or I use the right stick because it's a lot more precise, and I don't really care for the motion controls. Like I never really cared for motion controls. But
At least it give you the ability to use the right
Yes,
stick as opposed
yeah,
to
it
just
gives
forcing you to do motion control.
right. Like I don't know if I would love the game as much if it forced me to use the motion controls. Honestly, I don't. But that's basically the crux of the game is you painting these, and like each of the genies, like to get what's called super paint to clear the darkness out of every like little zone that you're in, you have to paint specific things, and you use basically like the trigger and then the right stick to brush certain things on there, like grass or a sun or the moon or like flowers, or like you start getting into like this like ice area, so you can like paint like icicles and snow and all this kind of like different, like each area has its own feeling and different stuff to paint. And as you progress, you pick up the pages that were scattered at the beginning of the game that allows you to paint more stuff.
Is it like a linear game, like linear
It's
progression?
fairly
Or does it have, like,
linear.
a hub world?
It's fairly linear. Like the town itself is a hub world, and like, but you basically move through one area at a time. Like it's fairly linear. Like you have to clear out each zone to move to the next zone. Like you can't do them at random or do like certain things or have to jump around a bunch. Like you pretty much are
Okay.
shown. So once you get to the end of a zone, you create what they call a masterpiece, which basically clears the zone of all darkness. And that is like a huge extravagant painting that you do on like a big, like one of them's on like a tower, and one of them's like you have to like climb a construction crane to get to, and all this stuff. Like it's pretty, extravagant.
I wish Sony would have put more marketing muscle behind it, to be honest.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, we're gonna get to it here very shortly, but like the same day that this game came out, they started talking about the PlayStation 5, which just like, I mean, I know it's not. It's a $30 game. Like, it's not like it's not a AAA title, but it's definitely a double A title.
It's a $30 game, but it's releasing smack dab in the middle of holiday season.
Right.
And Sony, besides Death Stranding, has
no first party stuff. Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm like, I figured you'd want to push that, and you have a history of pushing those type of games. I don't know why you're not doing it now, but whatever.
Yeah, I think that like we're gonna get to, like, I really think they're starting to wind down on everything aside from like their big, well, now 3 tentpole titles that they have left: Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima, and Last of Us 2. Like, Sony is gearing up for the next gen. Like, I mean, they'll push the hell out of those 3 titles, but I don't think much else.
Yeah, I don't think anything else is coming. Anything big.
No, nothing for just PS4 for sure. But yeah, honestly, if you have a PS4, if you like smaller bite-sized titles, and like I said, it only took me about 4, maybe 4.5 hours to finish the game. It is not a long game. It is not a difficult game. It is like very relaxing. It was very just kind of like you chill out. Like, I lounged back in my fucking recliner chair and played this game. Like, it's not anything. Like, there's some combat in like the last like quarter of the game, but it's nothing difficult, like, at all. And you can drop the difficulty, even if it is difficult for you. Like, you can drop the difficulty down to like casual, and basically the combat is super simple. So it's just it's button mashing at that point. But yeah, I mean, that game, I highly recommend that game. Highly, highly recommend it.
It's on my list. It's on my Best Buy list.
And it is actually, yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was a digital-only game, but it is not. They did a physical version of it as well. So if you like having boxed games, you can still get it. And there is a VR mode, too. They have VR support for the game. But it is a completely separate thing. Like, it has nothing to do with the main campaign.
Can we talk about that a little bit? How Sony has basically put like VR, like delegated it to basically like experience, like bite-sized experiences.
That's not really true. That's really
look what
true.
it,
Sony,
look
Sony,
what it did.
Sony has invested. No, it's not whatever, dude. I'll bite you back on this. Sony has invested quite a bit of money on VR. I mean, if you really want to get into it, Sony has invested quite a bit. They don't just do throwaway things. This Concrete Genie thing may feel like a throwaway things, but I think Sony Cambridge, and there's a studio out there, and I think in the UK that specifically puts out first party PSVR titles. I think it's not Rush of Blood. It was Rush. Oh man, I forgot the name of it.
Blood and Truth.
Blood and Truth. There it is. Like, that is like a fully.
I really wanted to play
AAA PSVR title. Sony has been investing quite a bit of capital in their.
I actually got rid of my PSVR platform.
Blood and Truth, Tetris, Arizona Sunshine, Everybody's Golf VR, Astro Bot Rescue, Elder Scrolls VR.
Yeah, there's definitely good stuff on there.
But when it comes to like games where I think they would have helped good with VR,
honestly, the majority of games I feel like are focused like VR, like specifically like VR centric. Like, you can't do it without VR. Is honestly Oculus stuff. Like, I mean, the PSVR is a great piece of hardware. Don't get me.
Both platforms are suffering from the same thing, where a lot of the developers are just grasping to. They're just really making. A lot of them are making small experiences just to grasp how to make games in this new space. It's like it's like when moving over from 2D to 3D back in the PlayStation PlayStation 1
Right.
era, you got all these little titles that you're like, wait, what is this? This quirky stuff. It's because they didn't know they were trying to
Yeah, they're
learn.
just trying
It's
to
like a
do
new
something with
language.
it. Yeah.
I guess,
No, yeah,
I guess my
yeah,
issue isn't with Sony itself. I think my issue is more with the developers basically just making VR bite-sized
yeah.
stuff as
But I mean,
opposed
but
to making a full-blown game that handles the game and handles
Like another
hardware.
example is No Man's Sky. Like when that game came out, everybody was like, "Oh, it's perfect for VR." Excuse me, wait a minute. I thought I was going to sneeze. But with the latest update, which was I think it was Beyond or something,
Mhm.
like the majority of people who play it both on PS4 and on PC say the way to play this game is virtual reality. Like this, like they totally rebuilt the whole game for virtual reality, and they're like, wow, it's just such an immersive experience. Which I'll be honest, I sold my PSVR like a long ass time ago, but it's the
yeah.
first time because I saw like a little analysis of it on like somebody on YouTube was talking about it, and I was like, man, if I had the money to burn, I'd buy it just to try it because I'd love to play No Man's Sky that way.
Oh, a question. Has Oculus said when they're gonna release Oculus wireless? Or
No, but I'm glad you mentioned that. There was a patent for a new PSVR headset that's rumored to be, well, not rumored, the patent showed that it was wireless.
I gotta figure out that one because I
I
saw
remember seeing
I
that.
saw people using that demo for the Oculus wireless, and that looked like okay, I like that,
Right.
And I think it's
Um.
Here it is, two
Oculus
days ago.
Go.
I found it on VentureBeat. Sony patent may hit and features of rumored PSVR 2. Let's Go Digital first spotted the patent for a data processing device. Now the patent itself isn't directly detailing a new version of PSVR, but some of the diagrams used to illustrate the patent reveal PSVR's features we've never seen before.
Yeah. See,
It's got
I
like
would. That's
cameras.
honestly my biggest obstacle, like, and why I got rid of my VR was just
Those
the fact
stupid
of having it.
cables.
Yeah, to set it up is such a bitch. So, but
Especially for
Like
me, like I'm in a small apartment, like it's like
right. I mean, I have a house, like I
doesn't matter.
have the like floor space for it, but it's just to want to try to set it up when I have everything else set up, and like I could have it like basically some of the stuff plugged in and then basically just plug the headset in when I wanted to use it, but that would like fuck with my HDMI ports, and it was
Gotcha.
just not fun. But
Oh, okay. So yeah, Oculus Quest has already been out. No PC, no wires, no limits. I gotta go check it out and see how good that one works as opposed to the actual Oculus as a wire. Because
I'll be honest, it probably won't be as good
hmm
because like if it's fully wireless, you got to think of it like the majority of the processing is going to be on
hmm
the headset itself, and it won't be as strong as PC.
yeah, which is that's the thing that's the driving force for Oculus is having that nice beefy PC that just helps with the graphics portion of the thing. But yeah, I think that's. I love VR. Don't get me wrong. I really love VR. I just wish developers would put more, not just bite-sized experiences, but beefy experiences like you were talking about with No Man's Sky. Because for me, my biggest issue, and for me, like the most criminal aspect of it was with Ace Combat 7. Because when I heard that it was supported with VR, I thought to myself, oh man, I'm gonna be able to fly this freaking airplane and I'll be able to freaking just do all the missions. No, just three. And the three ones are just basically like go and touch. And I was like, oh no, man. I just I don't know, man. I feel like when it comes to innovation and stuff like that, a lot of developers just don't like touching that type of stuff. They're like keeping it safe and simple. Um, and it's so criminal at times. Like look at the Vita, man.
yeah,
There were
I said
so
we
many
could go
good games that you
down.
could have go that
Yeah,
road. But anyways, I digress.
no, you're fine, man. You're good.
I was just gonna ask. I was just gonna ask you that because you were talking about VR and
No, yeah, no, I
Genie.
100% get it. Like, yeah, it I would like I kind of wish I still had my VR just to see what the VR support would be like. I'm assuming it's paint because it asks for the headset and two move controllers, so I assume that it is painting with the move controllers.
Gotcha.
I'm guessing. So, but I mean, it definitely like does not take away from the game if you do not have VR to use with it. there's a lot of cool, like, also it's super, super easy platinum if you're into that. I very little work, like, just playing through the story and then doing, like, a few, like, extra cleanup stuff afterwards. Like, I got almost 75% of the trophies in, like, one shot. Basically, if I wanted to platinum the game, all I would have to do is basically get all the collectibles and all the pages for the journal. Like, pretty much all I would have to do. So,
Man, I'm not gonna lie, not to go down a tangent, but I know Dalton said that he's like, he quit. Quit's not the right word, but he's like, hey, I stopped.
He's done.
He tapped out.
He's done. He's tapped out.
Going after. Yeah, I'm done going after platinum trophies, and I'm not gonna lie, I sort of been thinking the same. Psych.
I knew it.
Dalton, I'm gonna get you.
I knew that was gonna happen. I know this motherfucker ain't gonna be like
Yeah,
that. Like,
he's taking this opportunity to hunt him down and break his record
and try to catch him up to him.
Yeah.
Because I know Gustavo, and I know Gustavo ain't no fucking quitter.
Yeah, my friend Juan is like 11 up. I just gotta get it in me to start playing again, man. It's just
I would say you've been in a huge rut, man. Basically just Gears and only Gears.
And before that, I just wasn't playing anything.
Right. Marlon, did you want to talk about? I know you said you haven't bought it yet, or unsure if you want to buy it. Would you like
Keep.
to?
You want to talk about?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Shadowkeep or Code Vein?
I was just gonna touch a few things with Code Vein. Code Vein, I gotta go and actually look at some more videos and stuff like that, because after the initial announcement, I put it in the back burner. Said to myself, you know what? I just finished Dark Souls 3. I'm kind of done with front stuff games. I'm kind of done with this type of Konami stuff like that. So I just put it in the back burner. My girlfriend playing it has picked up my interest about it, and so I'll just leave that for Code Vein. I'll give you guys more thoughts down the week if I decide to buy it or not. Number 2, Monster Hunter. The new update for Rajang came out. Beat him. Monkey's a pain in the fucking ass. The fact that he goes Super Saiyan is a bitch and a half by itself. How do I feel about the update? 50-50 on it. There were certain things that the update did that, just made some changes of quality of life. They had the ability of being able to now fix your levels in the guiding lens, which is, thank the fucking God. They updated the way that the guiding lens, or as we call it in Monster Hunter World Community, the grinding lens, because that's really is a fucking grinding, and just made it easier to level up your levels there. Rajang fight, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I'm kind of pissed about some of the weapons designs, given the fact that I am a bow user, and the Rajang bow is not up to par. Some of the other weapons have really cool designs. I'm really liking that. But overall, Monster Hunter World, for now, and I'm just saying this for now, I am done. I think playing 153 hours, 155 hours in the span of, a month is enough for me with this game. And even though I'm only like master rank level 93, 94, something like that, in order for you get the platinum for this game, you need to be like master rank 200. So I still got quite a bit to go with this.
So if you're slowing down on Monster Hunter, does that mean you're gonna get into Destiny?
Yeah, that's what I was going for. Since the Monster Hunter has finally let go of my balls, and I can actually see them now. I've been playing.
He's lying. He's lying. He can never see his balls.
No, but like, hey, no, my life as a 700-pound man. That ain't work for me, brother. That ain't me. Okay.
Jesus.
So basically, because I'm kind of slowed down on Monster Hunter, I've been playing Shadowkeep. I've been enjoying a little bit of how the game Destiny is. So, any questions? The floor is open. What would you guys love to ask?
What are your?
We can all bypass it. No one gives a fuck. Let's move on now.
No.
All right. Thank you guys for listening to. Like and subscribe and
yeah, right. No,
I've got quite a bit of questions. So
yeah, I was say I played the first mission because I did end up buying it because I fucking am a sucker.
Yeah, because you're not Max. That's why. Okay, so we're moving on.
I like
So,
I wanted to get back into Destiny. Like I'm like, man, I fucking like I've put so much time and so much into this franchise. Like I need to see, especially all the big changes they were talking about, the Armor 2.0 and all the things they're going to be doing now that's their first release since they were like an independent studio and all this stuff. And I played through the first mission and like I don't know if it's how it's supposed to be. Like the first mission, you play through these areas, and you get to an area where you have to fight. Like I can't think of what the damn things are called. They're the things that shoot. They open up and they shoot all the fucking balls of energy out of them. Marlon, I'm sure you can help me.
The
It's
replicants.
where you can fight with the tank. Where you have the tank. What the fuck are those things called?
yeah, I know. My God.
I think they call them.
Shame on you, Marlon. Shame on you.
They call him something different. It's like they call him Eye of the Storm or something like that in this. But like I was playing, there were other people in that instance with me, like to start things out. And then like I got to a certain point where they just fucking vanished, and I was basically just like taking pot shots at them because the tanks were blown up and they didn't respawn. And I was just like, okay, this is what bothers me about Destiny. Like I just felt like I was super by myself, and like it just wasn't fun, and I just kind of was like, all right, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Like there's so much to this update too, in my opinion, and just the content to me is super overwhelming. Even Marlon said it. I think you said like if you're a diehard Destiny fan, you'll like it. If you're a Destiny fan that is coming back for this, you'll be super overwhelmed. Like, I think you said that, didn't you, Marlon?
Yeah, it's.
But go ahead, Goose.
How can I
would
say
say
this?
you ask all the questions you want to ask, because that's basically my piece on is like I don't think I'm going to be able to do Destiny anymore. I just really don't.
Yeah, I don't want to. Again, I don't want to make it a shit on Destiny type thing, but just for me personally,
absolutely not. And I don't hate the game. It's just I don't think at this point in my life and my style of what I want out of a video game, it's not for me anymore. It's just not.
Yeah, like this is the first. Like this was big for me. Like this was the first Destiny 1 or 2 expansion that I didn't buy since Destiny came out back in 2014. This was the first time that I skipped it, and I never had an inkling of trying it out. Like I was like, oh yeah, maybe I'll get it, but then I was like, no, I'm not getting it. And then once I made that decision, it was final. Like never. Like sometimes I'll be like, I don't want a game, and then I'll just buy it randomly. But this was like out of principle, like to make a statement. I was like, I'm not getting this. And then some of my TMSG guys, Andrew said he wasn't going to get it. As far as I know, he hasn't. Lee said he wasn't going to get it. As far as I know, he hasn't. And I was just like, nope, I have no interest in playing Destiny. Like Destiny's great. They fixed it. They've done a lot of great things. But I'm personally over it. But I do, even so, I still follow it. I still watch the Bidoc whenever they put them out. I still listen to Fireteam Chat almost every week. Two things that I want to know. How good is the onboarding for people who haven't played it? Actually, three things. How good is the onboarding for people who haven't played it? Have you rated yet? You personally, Marlon. And do you think that the new Light expansion is going to bring people, is going to bring more people to the product, to the game? Because I was reading over what new Light gives, and it's basically all the contents. It basically gives all the contents of Destiny 2, with the exception of some Forsaken stuff and, of course, the Shadowkeep stuff. But everything else is available in New Light. And I was like, whoa, like for free. It's like free to play now.
Yeah. So basically for New Light, basically like Gustav was talking about, you get basically the entirety of Destiny 2 up to, I want to say, Forsaken. Like all of that, you can play. You can do the raids, you can do the strikes, you can do everything that we've been doing for the past 2 years and a half. You can do it. Everybody gets a 750 light level on all their gear. So if you had a character before and you stop playing, all your gear is put to 750, so you can do any of that content, no problem at all. For new players, you have Dreaming City, you have Mercury, you have all these instances where you can play and have fun with your friends or by yourself, and you don't have to put a single cent on it. Having said that, I personally have not rated because I personally have not gotten my level high enough to be able to do the raids because of Monster Hunter. So my friends have rated, and they say that it's really freaking cool. It's a really good raid. I'm not gonna judge or say my bits until I actually play by myself and enjoy it, because I have a lot of friends who enjoy, Wrath of the Machine, and I hated it. So at least the freaking some of the areas of the beginning fights. I had some friends of mine who love Crota. I hated the Death Singers. I thought it was a stupid fight that just basically it ended feeling like a strike. And there's so many things, so many nuances when it comes to rating, that the experience, you have to experience it. There's not. That's one of the few gameplays or games that I can tell you that you have to experience it for yourself to say that you enjoyed it or you didn't. Because watching a video or watching a couple of streamers playing it, it can give you sort of maybe a bit of a sense of how the raid is or how it feels like. But it's only until you are one boots on the ground that you're the one struggling to pass through a certain section with Fall God, or passing through a certain section with your friends at 4 o'clock in the morning and finally beating it. That experience that only a raid can give you, I have to experience it by myself. Unfortunately, I have not played it, so I cannot give my full thoughts on it. Also, it's a fucking shrieker, for Christ's sakes. It's
Thank you.
Shrieker. You have been playing this game for how many fucking years, and you still don't know the fucking terminology?
Hey,
about fucking
you
shrieker.
you didn't fucking say it either, so I don't want to hear anything.
You didn't know
I
it
don't
either,
wanna-
dude. You probably Googled that shit. Get out of here.
It's a Shrieker, High, Death Singers, freaking Wizard, stuff like that. I'm said to myself, you know what? I'm gonna give him a couple of times to basically save himself. He didn't save himself.
Call him bullshit. Call him bullshit.
No. It's a Shrieker.
Honestly,
Christ's sake.
not even shamed. Like, I don't care.
But
So-
does it feel? Like, I know it takes place in the moon, and I know that some of the stuff they have taken from Destiny 1, but exactly how much, and does it feel? Is it the same feeling of, as a player who's played Destiny quite a bit? Is it the same feeling of, you're like, oh, they're recycling the same shit again, and they're just putting a little bit of embellishments on it? Is it fair to say that?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Here's the thing: the moon, the instance of the moon, has 50% of it the same structure as the original Destiny 1. So 50% of it, you are going to go through and you go, oh, I've been here before. I know how to do all this stuff. And since I've been playing that game for so long, and I paid so many hours with it, I went back in it, and there were some areas where I'm like, yeah, man, it's like I'm back home. It's like, oh, shit, I know where I'm located specifically in this part of the map. I don't have to look at the map. I don't have to do anything. I can just, from memory, just go from that area to this area, and then I'm going to get out. But there were certain areas where they basically changed the structure and changed the layout that keeps it fresh. And before, you could not do a full turn on the Hellmouth. Before, if you played the original Destiny 1, you could not do a full loop around the Hellmouth. It was basically, you could only go like run straight, then turn a big left, maybe like a half moon, and then basically stop, because that rest of the area is basically just for strikes and for specific area missions that you have to do there. No, on this instance, you can do an entire loop around the Hellmouth, and everything's interconnected. It feels fresh. It feels fresh, but it also feels like, hey, I'm back home. Now, having said that, the storyline, if you've been following Destiny since the beginning, you want to play the storyline, because it has some of the things that, as of all Destiny fan that loves the lore, this is good stuff. like this is like, oh shit, the shit's going down. There was the first mission, and Jeff will testify for this because he played the first mission.
Yep.
There was a sector where you're basically going down this ravine, and you just kill a couple of hives. You just basically destroy the entire thing with a tank. But now you're going down into the ravine, and as you're walking, then you turn to your left, and the whole ravine opens up, and you see the Black Pyramid. You see what we've been told about the darkness for the past 4 or 5 years now. Like the embellishment, like all the freaking Vidocs, all the artwork that you see in like the old Destiny artwork, where you see like the pyramids and basically saying like that's what basically saying that alien race was basically what they were looking for the Traveler. When I saw that, I said, "Oh shit, this is going down! Like this is actually like, oh shit, this is actually happening." So there was like about 5 minutes of me just stuck because I was at an impasse. I was basically thinking, if I continue with this, the allure and the mystery of what this alien entity that we're being reading about, we're being talked about for the past 4 or 5 years, it's finally gonna get, uncovered a little bit more. And I was a little apprehensive about it because I was thinking, wow, this is actually happening.
It took a long time. It took 4 or 5 years. This is Bungie or is it Square Enix? Which one is it?
I know, right? I know, that's the thing. I was like, what the fuck, man? But I said to myself, okay, I took a big breath. I go, okay, you know what? I'm ready. Whatever Bungie decides to do with this storyline, whatever they decide to do, I'm ready for it. And I continued with the mission, and I finished it. And with Bungie fashion, it's like, oh well, technically, you have to do all the other shit before you can actually go there. So for new players, it's not as in if you're just playing for the storyline, you're just playing like casually, you'll enjoy the game. But if you're the hardcore gamer, you have a lot of ground to cover. A lot of ground to cover. They did some changes to how multiplayer works. They did some changes.
Have they brought back Trials?
They have not brought back Trials, but they have brought back Survival, which is basically now the new competitive mode, quote unquote, which is 3 versus 3. Here's the thing that gets me though. They have basically changed how competitive works when it comes to the pinnacle weapons, because Bungie has decided that they will no longer do pinnacle weapons on this game moving forward, or maybe they will down the road 2 or 3 years from now. But as of right now, they decided that they will no longer do pinnacle weapons because the way that they were structuring and the way that they were working with the pinnacle weapons, they were meant for PvP, but because they were so powerful in PvP, they became even more powerful in PvE because of the perks and the way that the weapons work on just by themselves, just by the perks that they have, lends them to be more and more effective when it comes to just environmental enemies and stuff like that. So they just said that it was becoming a power creep, so they just decided not to do anymore. Having said that, they did change how people can acquire them. Like Luna's Howl, Not Forgotten, Recluse, Revoker, Mountain Top, all the PvP pinnacle weapons are much more easier to get now because competitive and survival no longer penalize you for losing. So you can do competitive and you can play and you can win or lose matches, but you don't lose your progress. So it has become easier to acquire them, and people are kind of like on 50-50 on this. There's the camp where people are saying like this should have not been touched. We work our ass for these weapons. We deserve to have a little bit specialty and having a little bit of elite. Like, hey, these weapons were the most difficult weapons to get in the game. We grinded for them. Now you just basically make them a moot point because now everybody's gonna get them. I'm in the camp of like, I get where they were coming from when they did this. I feel like they shouldn't have made it so easy. Because I go to Facebook, I go to Destiny LFG, I look for all the forums and stuff like that, and I see posts on Reddit every single day. It's like, hey, I got new Revoker. Hey, I got Recluse. Hey, I got Mountaintop. Hey, I got Lunatao. From like people who just started the game like, a month ago.
Do you think
And
that maybe what they can do is like widen, like, I don't know how they would do it. I'm not a developer. If they can somehow widen the skill gap where, it would be more democratized about who gets it, right? So that the drops would be more frequent, right? And more people would be able to play with these awesome weapons, which is always, I think personally, it's always a good thing. Even though I do agree with you a little bit. A little bit of me is like, hey, listen, if you're a noob, right, you shouldn't be getting these weapons right away. And I know it's elitist, but whatever. But if they widen the skill gap, right, then someone who has put the time in will be able to wreck and do things with that weapon that somebody who just came in a month ago would not be able to do. Like maybe that's something that they could. Maybe that's something that they could do.
they could do that, but the problem with a lot of those weapons, specifically, is how Mountaintop is probably one of the few weapons from this list that are. It's very difficult to get the hang of it at the beginning. That's one of those like high, curve weapons where if you're good with it, you're a fucking god. If you're bad with, grenade launchers, there's nothing you can do with it, But I don't know, man. I feel like half of me is pissed about it. The other half is like, oh, thank God, I can finally go and get those shits. But again, there's a lot of things to do. There's not much when it comes to guidance. If you get overwhelmed by all the things you can do in this game.
So the onboarding is horrible then?
For somebody who gets intimidated by doing a lot of things at once, yeah. Somebody who loves that kind of things like you do, which is micromanage everything and just like, okay, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, I got to do that, then you'll love it. For me, I'm 50-50. Because right now, I'm trying to do the storyline, but because the way that the storyline works, it basically forces you to go back and do all the other stuff. Like
Now,
you...
My question is this, to sort of like close out on the Destiny topic.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first major expansion that Bungie has put out for Destiny 2 since they bought themselves out from that contract with Activision.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that this Forsaken experience, that's not Forsaken, sorry, this, oh my God, what's the name of the expansion? Shadowkeep.
Shadowkeep and City on the Undying.
Do you think that the Shadowkeep experience is in keeping with the same quality that Bungie put out under Activision? And do you, as a longtime Destiny 2 player, or Destiny player in general, feel comfortable about Bungie, managing and stewarding their own success going forward?
I feel like they put out the same content regardless of if they were with Activision or not. The quality of the game has not changed.
Okay, good.
It's more.
Good.
It's more of the minute things. It's more of the minute things of how to go about it that have changed. For example, now we have season passes, and season passes are. It's like
are all the rage
very
now?
standard, yeah.
Yeah. So season passes, where it's basically like where you grind the entire season to get goodies and stuff like that. I liked it. I liked it, what they did with their way of going about season passes. I wish they could change it maybe a little bit more because and you guys could probably talk more about the other games that you have played, but from what I saw from the season pass for Destiny is that it was the bottom tree where it's like the season pass, you have to pay for it, gets so many things for you, like so many goodies that you picked up. But for the free one, it only has so many things onto maybe level 25, and then it just basically drops off the fucking map, and you get maybe 1 engram every 2, 4, 5 levels. And then as you keep getting to levels 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 1 engram per 10 levels. 1 engram, while the bottom tree is like filled with other stuff as well. So for me, it feels very top heavy, where for the free player, they might get a lot of good stuff, on the top part at the beginning of the season, but at the end of the season, they may not get anything out of it, I suppose if you're a pay player, you get a lot of stuff through the entire season, no matter what you do. I feel like they could, tweak it a little bit to give it to those who are just want to play the game for free, to give them a little bit more stuff. because as of right now, for me personally, because I pay for the season pass, and I am one of those pay players, I feel like the free player is gonna get screwed over time, because it's gonna force them to pay for the season pass, because
That's the whole point.
and I get it, and I understand that.
I mean, literally, that's the point. We're going to try to entice you with this free serving of food, and we're going to give you the best possible small platter. And then once you're done and you want some more, then you got to pay up.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
it's the
whole
appetizer.
business
It's
plan.
the free appetizer
I get
before
it.
you get
I get
the main course. So
But I feel like they could probably do a little bit more better when it comes to just rushing it out, because if you look at it, like level 450 to like 100, there's nothing there. Like there's there was like 20 levels, but there was only one engram at level like 45, and there was another engram at level 55. Like there was 10, and well, but the bottom part is like just crappy shit. It's not like it's full of exotics and stuff.
You said
like that.
crappy shit.
It's like,
It's just crappy.
it's like
crappy
it-
shit.
it's like glimmer,
Just
mod
nothing,
components.
nothing like you're like, oh shit, like that's a cool thing.
Yeah, like because if you look at, it's not like
Because don't you
it's
get?
like you're
'Cause-
paying,
Go ahead.
because it's not like you're paying more to get better weapons or better gear or just better, what do you call it, ornaments and stuff like that. It's just like glimmer and components and weapon cores and stuff like that. Things that you would probably play, and get it in game. So it's a little imbalanced there. I get it. I understand that, but I don't have that problem because I pay for it, because when I bought the Shadowkeep expansion, I bought it with the whole season pass thing. So
Yeah,
So
you
how
get
much does that cost? The expansion with the.
the expansion with all of the season passes 60. You get the initial season 8 season pass by just getting Shadowkeep. Like if you spend the
I know
$35,
Shadowkeep's
you
$35.
you get the season 8 season pass, but to get seasons 8, 9, and 10 season passes along with Shadowkeep at $60.
And I was
Or
also reading that you don't need to own Destiny 2. So my question is this, because I saw it says you don't need to own Destiny 2 to enjoy Shadowkeep and
No,
the
like,
season pass. Does that mean that I can uninstall Destiny 2?
No,
No,
'cause
you have to
how
have-
it
you have
works.
to have Destiny
yeah,
2.
like how it works is basically going forward, you can buy everything piecemeal. Like let's say you're like, I don't really want to do Shadowkeep, and I don't want to do the current, the next couple seasons, but the next expansion that looks really cool. I'm gonna just buy the next expansion and skip all of that other content.
Yeah.
But as long as you own the base Destiny 2, you can just have whatever you want, whenever you want.
Marlon, what's the file size right now?
I think it's close to over 100 gigs, isn't it?
It's like 165 gigs.
Yeah,
Gigabytes.
Get the fuck out for real.
I don't think it's that. I didn't think it was that big. I know it's
No.
definitely over 100.
No, dude. Like, I'll pull up the file right now. You needed 165 gigabytes of free memory to be able to download the last patch on it. So
Jesus
that should tell you
Christ.
something, right? But let me see if I can figure it out for you. But again, I love Destiny, so it's just one of those things where.
No, he's right. I think he is right. I think I read it up on Forbes. It's 165. God. That would be the biggest. If I would have everything installed, it would definitely be the biggest on my PS4 for sure. That's crazy. That is bananas.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. But so moving forward, and
It's
speaking
the-
of,
So I'll tell you
Damn
right
it.
now. So the
Screwed up my
Shadowkeep is
transition.
68 gigabytes minimum safe size. That's the safe size of the
Oh yeah.
Shadowkeep.
I saw it. I saw it on Forbes. Yeah, that's right. It's
But-
you're right. It's 165.
So
Everything
it's
together.
like everything together is 165, and it's one of those like it just keep adding up, which is my problem, and this is what I'm gonna give it to you, Jeff. After this is like as the save files of this game keep getting bigger and bigger, just on PS4 alone. Now that the PS5 is coming up, around the corner, and we
Thanks,
keep getting
Marlon.
news about Call of Duty having a 165 gigabyte save file just by itself. What do you guys think about
I was gonna say,
the new
so yeah.
generation that we're coming up?
So yeah, this past week, right after we were going to record, Sony did a Wired article. We are transitioning to topic of the week, by the way. But Sony did an article
Horrible.
for Wired, basically detailing a lot of things about the PlayStation 5, which, Gustavo, would you be so kind as to run off some of those things, and maybe we can talk about them as you say them?
So
Because you had
like
the
probably
article up, so.
the biggest surprise. And I was like, whoa, this is big. It's called PlayStation 5. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was gonna be called something else. I said, wow, PlayStation 5. That's amazing.
I know.
I was
Who
wondering. I'm like,
would
what are they
have?
gonna call it?
I wish they would have called it the Orbis, honestly. Let's be
I'm
real
like,
here.
what is?
It's the most innovative name since PlayStation 4.
There was a.
Right.
It's like,
Oh,
Jesus
but
Christ, man.
all jokes aside, there was a whole bunch of tidbits that came out from this Wired
Mhm.
article. They talked about again the CPU, but some of the things that they talked about, Mark Cerny in particular, who's the lead architect again for PS5. He spoke about how there's there's ray tracing acceleration in the GPU hardware, which
Yeah.
means it isn't software based.
Yeah,
They're gonna
they're
have a new controller, the DualShock 5. They haven't named it, but we can all assume it's gonna be called
haptic
DualShock 5.
feedback.
It's gonna have some haptic feedback. They explained how when you're shooting a bow, you can feel like it's a little tense. So the trigger is gonna give you a lot more resistance, and depending on the game, you're gonna get different feels. I don't know how they're gonna do it. I'm thinking, that's gonna be hell on the battery, but hopefully they can resolve that. Again, they talked about the SSD and how that's gonna be a big game changer. One of the things that also stood out to me was that the UI, where they're going to make the UI more user friendly, where as soon as you boot up the game, according to the article, you'll be able to see what your friends are playing, if they're in multiplayer, if they're in a story, and you yourself can jump right into that. They about talked about data management, which is something that they really talked about at the beginning of the PS4 generation, but it never really bared out. And that's where you can install portions of a game
Yes.
immediately and get
I
to
was
play them.
actually
So if you
legitimately excited about this.
yeah, that's really cool. If you want to play a single player, you can play a single player, install that. If you, for example, if you buy Call of Duty and you install the entire thing, but then once you're finished with the single player, you can delete the single player portion
Yeah,
of the
actually
game
that
and just keep the multiplayer available.
right, like for like Call of Duty and stuff like that, that is super cool. Cuz like there are definitely like games where I'm like that's a multiplayer and single player type of thing, but I would love to be like, I just want to keep just the multiplayer portion on here. Like that is a super cool feature that I really hope a lot of developers take advantage of next gen.
I hope the developers do take advantage of the DualShock 5 and the haptic feedback feature. It's something that I spoke about on the Discord with the rumble triggers on Xbox One. Like many developers didn't take advantage of it. I can think of Forza Horizon. You can feel a lot of resistance, like when you're turning a corner or when you're coming
Yep.
out of a corner, and it's a great feeling. It's like an extension of the game itself through the controller, which it should be. But I thought of the DualShock 4, and I thought of how Sony made such a big deal of both the speaker and the touchpad in the middle, and it's a glorified map button, right? Like developers didn't really take advantage of it. I could think of certain games at the beginning of the generation, like The Witcher. You could swipe up to get the map. Infamous Second Son. There were certain portions where you needed to like do a fingerprint reading to get into certain facilities, and you would literally have to hold the button with your finger
Mhm.
to like mimic that action, which I thought was kind of
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
Uh, I think Killzone Shadowfall also made use of it, like with the drone, who was your ally throughout the campaign. But really, besides that, I can't think of any other games that truly took advantage of it. So I'm like, I hope this isn't another gimmick, and developers actually do take advantage of it going forward, like next generation.
Right. Absolutely. Um
My
what
biggest
else? Go ahead.
takeaway, to be honest, was just, and this is sort of like a macro, looking at it from a macro level, was just how like anticlimactic this announcement was. Like the two times that Sony has officially acknowledged next generation hardware, the PlayStation 5, has been through Wired. And I'm like, that is odd. Like, I don't know what's going on over at Sony, but I thought there'd be a little bit more of a push, like a bigger marketing push with their next gen console. And I'm sure that they will be starting next year. I'm positive of it. But I don't know. It's like it's odd. some people were saying that, there's some trouble going on at Sony internally, which may very well be true. Some are saying that they're playing it close to the vest and they're not trying to show off too much, and just to surprise people when they do finally show off whatever it is they're showing off.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. How do you guys feel about the announcement?
I think my issue with the whole PS5 is, the more you keep trying to keep it on the wraps, the more people are gonna get, like really invested, and their hopes and dreams are gonna get, escalated to the point where it may not deliver everything that they themselves have been putting out themselves for. I feel like Sony should, be like, listen, we're gonna have an announcement. We're gonna be releasing the PS5, this and this date. This is what's gonna do, and this is what it's not gonna do. Because people are saying, and this is just from my friends and people that I talk to, saying like, they are saying that they're gonna be able to play 8K resolution, and I'm going, dude, you are setting up yourself for failure. Okay, it's a powerful. It may come out to be a very powerful system, but it's no fucking $45,000 fucking PC. Okay, and people are they love speculating on what the machine is going to be, but they just keep putting their expectations too high. My opinion should be that just wait for it to come out and just see what it has. The other thing that I want to say about the PS5 is that I'm sort of like at this point kind of done, because the more articles I read about it, the more speculation comes out to be like, oh, is it going to be eco-friendly? And I'm like, I don't care about that. I just want to play video games. Is it going to have a 2 terabyte hard drive? And I'm like, hard drives have made that moot point. And you were talking about that, Gustavo, with that. You were saying like,
I'm worried about this hard drive. I can see Sony like trying to sell a proprietary SSD. I mean, if they're going to use an SSD drive, and I know like the nerds over at NeoGAF and PC Gamer were talking about how they're going to use this new thing, PCIe 4, which is like this new bandwidth thing. And I'm sorry to the listeners because I'm butchering it. I'm not really tech savvy when it comes to that. But it's basically it's something in the hardware which will let the system at a hardware level take advantage of the speeds of an SSD. Like, for example, I can pop in an SSD on a PS3 and a PS4 right now, and it won't be as fast because these consoles don't support that PCI module or whatever it's called.
They're not optimized for it.
Exactly. It's not optimized for it, but the PS5 is rumored to be so. And what I worry about is, like, how much storage space are we going to get? Like, we were talking about Destiny 2 being 165 gigabytes and, the upcoming Modern Warfare being, upwards of 150 gigabytes. I'm like, you really can't put a 1 terabyte console, a 1 terabyte hard drive on these consoles, because with 10 games, 10, 12 plus games, like, we're going to be tapped out. But what I was thinking was that maybe what they'll do is, like, what will they do for storage? Like, will they allow us to use external drives? And if they expect us to do what I personally do now, I really don't have a problem. Like, I've got a 2 terabyte hard drive on my PS4 Pro, and I've got a 4 terabyte external drive, and whatever I do play, I just shuffle it. So whatever I'm not playing, it's all stored on the external drive. And then when I want to play something that's on the external drive, I just shift it over to the internal drive because it'll just run better. So maybe they'll do something like that. My hope is that they don't like try to cut external drives off, and I hope they don't try to sell you an SSD drive only, right? Because if they try to do like a PS Vita type deal where you could only get memory from them, that's not going to fly. At least not with me.
No. The era of proprietary shit, it's over. I'm sorry. It makes no sense nowadays for companies that are trying to get into like the console gaming space and stuff like that to be making memory that is only working on their specific console, given the fact that they're more closer to a PC nowadays than ever. And there's no point of you trying to sell me a 200 gigabyte memory for like $100, where I can get myself a, I don't know, a terabyte for the same price. You know,
Yeah, it's wild.
And that was the thing that pissed me off the most about the Vita. It was the fact that it wasn't like you were giving me a lot of gigabytes and memory storage for my games. You were giving me like the bottom of the barrel when it comes to memory. You were having SSDs at that time were like 150, 256 gigabytes for like $200 or $100, and Sony was over here selling me a 32 gigabyte memory for like $69, $89. I was so mad with that bullshit, man. So no, I don't want to hear that shit from Sony. I don't care about like, well, it's a proprietary, memory card that is optimized for PS4. Bullshit. Okay, bullshit. So that's my issue. Second issue, give us some ports, man. That's all I'm asking. Give us fucking ports, for Christ's sakes, man.
Yeah.
Are you, Marlon? You specifically, are you ready to upgrade? Because, like, for the listeners out there,
I am ready for upgrade right now. Like,
yeah, because you've been with the base PS4.
Yeah,
like,
you've never
PS4.
mid upgraded, did you?
I am. No, I did not. I am ready for upgrade. This PS4, my baby, has been through me for the past 4 or 5 years now, maybe more than that.
More than that.
And
probably sounds like a fucking jet engine.
That guy has outperformed everything that I gave it to it. Whether it was Destiny, whatever. The only game that probably looked like shit on it was Borderlands 3, but then again, Borderlands 3 looked
Borderlands
like shit
3
across the board.
Runs pretty rough from what I've heard. So,
but anything that I played with it ran, and it ran for the most part pretty well. And it never gave me issues. It never died. It never sounded like a jet engine. Maybe until now, maybe about 2 or 3 months from now. But for the past 6-7 years, it was running beautifully.
And the soldier.
And I gotta give props to him. My original PS3 died. I went through like 4 or 5 Xbox, but that guy has been through with me for a long time, and I haven't changed it, and I'm ready for upgrade. I personally am ready for upgrade. What I don't want to see is, you need to have a PS5. Well, then you need this cable, that 4K, that 8K, that monitor, that stuff, and I'm like,
no, I give IGN a lot of shit, and rightfully so. But they put out a video which I really liked. They sort of debunked the 8K claim.
Yeah,
and I just I think of the 8K stuff, and I'm like, no offense to Joe and Jane Schmo on Main Street, but 8K is just marketing and catering to those folks, because I didn't have to see the IGN video to know that native 8K isn't going to be possible on any of these machines. And I love that one part when Damon Hatfield from IGN was like, hey, the most expensive graphics card running at 4K, at 70 frames per second max settings, and it can't do 8K, right? And it costs $1,200, right? Mm-hmm. So that's not gonna happen. And I'm like, yeah, I could have told you that, Damon. But but people are gonna fall for it. It's gonna be, again, it's gonna be marketing spiel, and maybe 8K, maybe they'll do it, like a checkerboard 8K. Who knows? But I highly doubt that the hardware will be able to do native 8K. I mean, the hardware that we have now can't do native 4K. So
okay, yeah, I mean, it took. Okay, let's for example, the PS3 was touted to play 1080p at 30 to 60 frames per second when it first came out. How long did that took for us to get to that point?
Barely. The majority of the game
right.
at 720.
Yeah, absolutely.
It took us until what? The PS3 came out in 2006, 2007. Yeah. It took into 2019 for us to get those type of games across the board.
Well, to be fair, PS3, since it launched, has been outputting at native 1080p, really, the majority of the time. If you ever watch any of those Digital Foundry videos, base PS4 has always had, base Xbox One beat. It's always 1080p, 900p, which is sort of like a reversal of what happened with last generation, where, the majority of the games were running either at 720 or 1080 on Xbox 360, and then they were either 720 or sub 720 on PS3, which is crazy. I remember GTA 4 ran like at 640p or something.
Yeah, something like that.
We lost them.
Oh.
And the thing that gets me is that I think we lost them. I think the thing that gets me though is that
Gustavo.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm
okay.
here.
All right. You
like
cut out at
like
the end of your
you-
sentence. So
like you it's like what just happened? Like what the fuck? He got taken out by fucking Keanu Reeves, man.
The SDF, the Sony Defense Force,
right.
Yeah, like papa, like
led by my friend Juan.
Ha, got him.
I just came back from watching Gemini, right? So like there was one part in the movie where that literally happens. The guy's talking on the phone, right? It was like, dude, man, get out of there. You have to be they're being compromised. Come on, man, nothing's gonna happen. And you hear, oh well, is that? It's like,
Oh
okay.
shit. But
so like that's what I just
I think overall, like, kind of wrapping up the PlayStation 5 stuff. Like, I know Marlon, you said you're definitely ready to upgrade. Are you? Is PS5 going to be a day one for you?
Yeah, I have a saved in the savings account, waiting for it. Like I've been putting $25-$35 every week, ready for it for next year.
There you go.
Having said that, and this is one of my question that I want to ask you guys. Is how do you feel about just consoles in general as the generations coming to an end? Do you feel that the PS4 and the Xbox One X accomplished what they set out to accomplish, or do you feel like they left the gamers wanting a little bit more?
That's a really tough question, honestly. I don't know. What would you say, Gustavo?
I think gamers always want more. I think it's the generation isn't over. We still got quite a bit of games that are going to come out next year.
Almost a full year for sure until the next consoles come out.
And when you think of last generation and the last year that it had, we had titles like the Last of Us 1, we had BioShock Infinite, right? So two generation defining games. I think this generation has been awesome. Just looking back, there's been some years where I've played a lot of stuff. There's been some years like this one where I really just haven't played anything. No, I think this generation has been solid. It started off slow.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of ports. We got a lot of remasters, which I found odd.
Right.
But as the generation has continued, Sony especially, right? And I'm not throwing dirt at Xbox, right? Everybody knows that when it comes to the first party games, Xbox has fallen short, right? It's not brand new. It's just the truth.
It's the facts.
It's just what it is. But no, I think this has been a solid generation. I can't wait. I can't wait for next gen to see what it brings. Like, I think that all three of us, we're like in a position. Like, a lot of people are gonna follow the coverage and stuff, and me, I can just close my eyes and just be like, I don't really care because I'm gonna buy them all. And I think that all of us are in that same position of it's not of I need to follow to see which one I want, because most likely we're gonna get all of them, right?
Right.
It's just a matter of when, and when are we going to get them? As I know you asked him, is going to be a day one, and it is a day one. But like, I'm always like the only two consoles that I got day one this generation were the refreshes, were the Pro and the Xbox One X. But like, just that old school mentality of mine of I can't get the first gen because if it's got a problem or something. It's just like that old shit, like that old part of my brain, like that that lizard brain thing. So I don't know if I'll wait like maybe a couple months until the first production ones come out, and then I'll feel comfortable getting one. But am I gonna get a PS5? Absolutely. Am I gonna get a next gen Xbox? Absolutely. I just
for me, like,
which one you gonna get first?
Right, for me it's gonna be PS5 absolutely day one. Xbox Scarlet, as much as I do really like what Xbox is doing in terms of outside of the actual hardware, like I'll do what Goose was talking about, is wait a little bit, maybe wait 6 months down the road till maybe tax time of the following year, something like that. But yeah, PS5.
I'm trying to see maybe if I can just be like a a big baller like Jeff and try to pull it off. Because I've got I've got $280 in Best Buy credit, and that may balloon past upwards of three. It definitely will balloon upwards of 300 by the end of the year because all the pre-orders I got and the $10 reward certificates I'll get. But maybe by the time that next year rolls around, I'll be close to 400, right? So maybe I can get one. Let's say these consoles are $500 to $600. $400 off a $600 console. I only got to pay
That's
$200.
beautiful.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's beautiful. Man. That's
Absolutely.
beautiful. Like
Yeah, I'm
you
jealous.
can't go wrong with that. You
Right.
can't go wrong with that. If somebody tells you, "Oh, I can't afford that, man. That's $200." Like, no, dude, get out of here with that.
Right.
Yes, man.
But
So
yeah, that kind
just
of
wanna
wraps
say
up.
this.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Marlon. Say what
Just
you
want
need
to say
buddy.
this as a say what you need to say.
Say what you need to say.
So basically, from my closing comments, it's basically this: I only ask for the Xbox Scarlet, PS5, and a Nintendo Switch number 2.05869 because we know that Nintendo's gonna pull this bullshit again. So I only ask two things. Number one, don't give me all remasters at the beginning of the console generation. Don't give me GTA 5. Don't give
I
me.
think it's going to be one of those things because both of these consoles are going to be backwards compatible with PS4 stuff. I would be very shocked if we get a lot of those.
Well, PS5 is questionable. I mean, that's one of the things that I spoke about before we started the show. I know you're trying to close up, but just real quick.
No, you're fine.
When they first mentioned the next gen PlayStation, they were like, oh yeah, one of the things they put out there, they wanted to make sure that everybody knew, hey, it's going to be backwards compatible with PS4, right? They put that out there right away. They wanted everybody to know that. But a journalist from Famitsu who spoke to a Sony Interactive Entertainment public relations representative stated that the PS5 dev team is putting all power on verifying whether they can secure a complete compatibility. Please wait for more information. So that's sort of going back on what they had initially said about, hey, it's going to be backwards compatible, right? Because the insinuation was that it was going to be complete compatibility. But now what they're doing, we can assume, is that this team within Sony is trying to make sure that every single PS4 game, both physical and digital, is fully backwards compatible with PS5, as I expect them to do. I mean, every game that I own better be backwards compatible. If a single one isn't, they failed in my opinion. If WWE 2K15 with John Cena on the cover, my least favorite game that I own, isn't backwards compatible, they failed.
Right. No, I absolutely agree.
Me,
it needs to be backwards compatible this time. Absolutely.
Be compatible. But for me, it's like I don't want to see remasters of games that don't need to be remastered. Like for example, like I want to say, let's say that Final Fantasy VII comes out, right, for PS4, and then PS5 comes out, and then Final Fantasy VII remaster for the PS5. I'm like, no, don't give me that BS, okay? 2, don't give me fucking Skyrim. For fuck's sake, I don't want to see fucking Skyrim anywhere on the PS5. Give me Skyrim 6, give me Elder Scrolls 6, give me something. I don't want to see a fucking remake of that game, or Dark Souls, or Dark Souls 2, or just give me new experiences.
What I'm wondering is, like, one of the cool things that Xbox One X did, even if you didn't get, for example, on Xbox One X, let's say that there's a game that doesn't have an Xbox One X enhancement patch, it automatically gets 16 times anisotropic filtering. And for Xbox 360 backwards compatible games, all of them are V-synced, right? So there's no tearing at all whatsoever. So they were able to inherently take advantage of the power of the console without developers having to touch it, right? They didn't have to tinker with any code. They didn't have to waste time or resources on an update. Now, if they wanted to, that was an option that they could do, and undertake, and many of them did. But if Sony could pull off something like that, that could be a real game changer, especially for games that have like dynamic resolution. Like, for example, Halo 5 on Xbox One originally ran at 60 frames per second, but it had a dynamic resolution where if the game sensed that it was going to go under the 60 frames per second, it would drop the resolution first as opposed to the 60 frames, so it was always silky and buttery smooth. Now, there are plenty of games on both Xbox One and PS4 and the enhancement consoles that run either at 4K or 1440 or 1800 or whatever the case may be, and to keep a steady frame rate, they drop resolution. Now, if these next gen consoles, PlayStation 5 and next gen Xbox, could maximize that resolution and keep it at a steady 1440p or 1880 or even 4K without the developers having to do anything, just because again dynamic resolution is based on the power of the console, that would be fucking awesome. Yeah,
that way you don't have to worry about buying another remake. You can just literally download the game that you already own and stuff like that, and it works and it just runs smooth.
Yep. Absolutely.
If it's like that, I'm okay
Yeah.
with that. I just don't want to see a remake being paid up like another $60 for a game that I already own in 3 different consoles in 3 different systems.
Yeah.
It just seems stupid for me.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's just what I wanted to say.
No.
Take the reins, dear Moneybacks. Take us to the promised land.
All right. Well, that's all we have for you on this week's episode of the AEG show. I appreciate you guys listening, and I cannot wait to talk more about these consoles when we get a proper review. We can see what it looks like. We get a price, release date, all that fun stuff. That's like, I know I got so giddy when they did the PS4 and the Xbox One, so I cannot wait to go deeper into those conversations. And I know here in the next couple weeks, I'm getting a few games, and we'll have a lot more games to talk about. Hopefully, Marlon will have more to say about Shadowkeep moving forward, and he might even pick up Code Vein, so that would be cool to hear about as well, because, Vampire Dark Souls, why not? But that's all we have. Feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check us out on Twitch, which we should be getting back to doing some of the Twitch streams once Dalton gets back from his work stuff. And then follow us on Twitter at the AEG show. And we will no longer have a website here fairly soon. AEGshow.com is going away. But that does not mean we are going away. We are still going to be here giving you as much content as we possibly can. But thank you guys as always for listening. And until next week, we will see you here on the AEG show.